Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live. My name is Cierra. Y'all usually see me every week. I'm gonna go ahead and I know we were having some difficulties here. I'm gonna go ahead and play the intro video real quick. There you go. Oh, okay. Now to you, Samantha.
Hi, I'm Sam Hinton. I'm a rising senior and a public policy administration major with a humanitarian affairs minor. I am going to be a deep educator in the fall, and I'm really excited to be here.
I'm guessing that's my cue.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody listening. My name is Kyle Toller. I go by the alias of Kyle with the style and many other aliases. I am a rising senior as well. I am a communication major with a minor in human resource development. Also, I've had a bunch of affiliations with JMU. Last year, I was the president of the Black Student Alliance. I've also been on the Madison Equality's exec board as well, and I'm glad to be here.
We're going to pass it over to Rebecca now for the Sabías Qué.
Thanks, Sam. We're back with our Sabías Qué segment where we find out what we need to find out. This week, we're going to present some facts that are hopefully new to many of you. ¿Sabías que Chicano is a chosen identity of some Mexican Americans in the U.S.? The term became widely used during the Chicano movement of the 1960s by many Mexican Americans to express a political stance founded on pride in a shared culture, ethnic, and community identity. ¿Sabías que Martin Luther King Jr. improvised the most iconic part of his I Have a Dream speech? Singer Mahalia Jackson reportedly kept saying, "Tell him about the dream, Martin." And though we don't know for sure if he heard her, he went on to tell the crowd about this dream. And that improvised section of his speech is now one of the most iconic speeches in history. ¿Sabías que Navajo Community College, now called Diné College, the first tribal college, was founded on the reservation in Arizona in 1968? ¿Sabías que the first Chinese student to graduate from a university in the US, his name was Young Wing. He graduated from Yale University in 1854. ¿Sabías que that Liliuokalani was the only ruling queen and the last sovereign monarch of the Hawaiian Kingdom, ruling from January 29th, 1891 until the illegal overthrow of the Hawaiian Kingdom by the United States in January of 1893. Thank you, Sam. Back to you.
Thanks, Rebecca, for those important facts about our country's history. I will now introduce our special guest for tonight, Mayor Deanna Reed. Mayor Deanna Reed was sworn into office for Harrisonburg City Council on January 3rd, 2017, and then selected by her fellow council members as mayor. Becoming mayor of Harrisonburg made her the first African-American female mayor in Harrisonburg's history. In 2019, Mayor Reed was selected by her colleagues to serve a second term as mayor. Although this is her first public office, she's no stranger to Harrisonburg and its people. Mayor Reed is a native of the city and is a proven leader, impacting the lives of those of all ages. Mayor Reed currently serves as the program director for On the Road Collaborative, a nonprofit youth empowerment organization that serves more than 300 middle school and high school youth annually. On the Road Collaborative helps to set students on the road towards high school, college, and successful careers. Beyond her leadership and achievements serving the youth, Mayor Reed is a member of World Ministries Christian Outreach Church. She has served as a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated for over 32 years and serves on the advisory team for Iota Alpha chapter of James Madison University. And she is currently serving as vice president of the Charlottesville Alumni chapter. Recently, Mayor Reed was recognized by the Virginia Library of Congress as one of the strong men and strong women of Virginia history. She was featured in Essence magazine on the top 100 woke list, and she was recognized by Harrisonburg, Rockingham County Commonwealth Attorney Marcia Garst as Citizen of the Year in 2015. Mayor Reed continues to hold numerous offices within several communities. She serves as a council representative on the Virginia Municipal League Legislative Committee, Virginia Municipal League Human Development and Education Committee. She currently serves on the Board of Trustees for Eastern Mennonite University, the Advisory Board for Civic Engagement, Social Services Advisory Board, and the Parks and Recreation Commission, and she is an honorary member of the American Association of University Women. Mayor Reed remains passionate in her work to enrich the lives of youth in her community. Mayor Reed, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So being that you are the first Black woman mayor of Harrisonburg, what was your journey into leadership like as a Black woman?
That's a huge question. So let me just give you, I guess the way I start this story is kind of giving you a background about Harrisonburg. We'll start there. As you know, as you said, I'm born and raised here in Harrisonburg, grew up here all my life. In Harrisonburg, when I was coming up, was quite different. We were not as diverse as we are now. And so throughout the history of city council, there's only been 3 African Americans to serve on council. And that was Mr. Elon Rhodes, and then Larry Rogers, who was an alum of JMU, and then Chris Jones, who is also an alum of JMU. And then there's only been 3 women to serve on council. And the last woman to serve on council was Carolyn Frank, and that was back in 2010. And so I was never political, did not want to be in politics. However, when I came back home, because I did leave for a while, and I came back home, I noticed that Harrisonburg was still, the leadership of Harrisonburg didn't reflect the diversity of the city. I started attending city council meetings because the issue back when I came home, and I'll tell you how long this issue has been a part of discussion, was I came back home around 2014, and we were talking about the high school, which is overcrowded. And so at that time, I was working as a substitute teacher at the high school. And so I started going to city council meetings just to see where we were headed. And as I was looking up at the dais, I realized that there were still men, all men, running the city. And so I knew there needed to be a change. And so I decided that I was going to go out and find a woman to run for city council. I never considered it to be me. At the time, I did find this woman who I felt like was extraordinary. Her name is Melissa Fisher. She's a good friend of mine. She was executive director at the Collins Center. She was a white, educated, beautiful woman, and I tried to convince her to run for city council. And she accepted at that time. And she and I told her I would be her campaign manager if she ran. And so she and I worked together, and throughout the process, this was now 2016, throughout the process, she kept asking me, well, Deanna, why don't you think about running for council? And I was like, I'm from Harrisonburg, and I know Harrisonburg, and Harrisonburg is not ready for a Black woman to be running for council or to serve. You know, I can be loud, I can be stubborn, and I just felt like Harrisonburg wasn't ready for that. And as we went on with the process, she decided that it was more fit for me to run than her, and so she ended up quitting, and I had to kind of step up. And decided to throw my name in. And it was, at times, it was very challenging. As a woman of color, you have to kind of be careful of how you present yourself because you're being, critiqued more so than the male counterparts. When I was running, I was running the only woman of color running with a group of men. And I had to be careful. I couldn't be really passionate about the issues that were passionate to me, because I would come across, or I would have to be careful of how I address certain issues or how I came across, because I didn't want to come across as the angry Black woman, because those stereotypes, they exist. I had to work harder. I had to be, well prepared, more so than the people who I was running with. And, I was single. I wasn't, I didn't have any kids. And I was asked about my personal life, whereas there were other people running who were single as well who didn't get those questions. So at times it was very challenging. But Harrisonburg decided that they were ready for a change. And then in 2016, I won with the most votes ever in a city council race. So I'm glad that I definitely did it. I think that we're now headed in the direction that Harrisonburg needs to be, that there's voices at the table that wouldn't normally be at the table. And I'm proud that I stepped out of my comfort zone with no political experience and ran.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, that's beyond awesome. I have better words than beyond awesome. But I putting your name in the table and into the hat and saying, hey, let me be there. Like that definitely, and even though I don't plan on running and whatnot, encourages me to do something and be like, hey, I want to make a change in my community in some sort of capacity. And I would say, your story is a great one to look up to.
Thank you.
I especially liked what you said about feeling like you couldn't be as passionate about certain issues, because I feel like it's still a major problem today. You feel like you still have to kind of tone down like your efforts for things?
Yes. Well, I think now that people are very much adjusted to having me on council, because the one thing people need to understand is women lead differently. And so I believe that, and there's nothing wrong with that. We just lead in a different way. And so it took a while for people to understand my leadership style. But I think now Harrisonburg is very used to having me as mayor, and as mayor, my job is to run city council meetings, and I also am the voice of the city. But I still have to. I'm more comfortable now, my second term, than I was my first term, to be more myself. But of course, I still have to, at times I have to be guarded, because I don't want people to label me, because I'm as passionate about education. I'm passionate about affordable housing. I'm passionate right now that we wear masks when we go out in public. Those are the things that I'm passionate about. And I still can be criticized. To the fact where I come across kind of, aggressive, but that's who I am. Can I get my dog? Let me get this dog.
I'm going to also take this opportunity to get my charger for my computer.
Okay.
I knew it was going to happen.
It's okay. We're glad to have her on the show too.
I knew Bo was going to do this.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I have I guess a couple questions just based off of the things that you said. I know you talked about you started going to your city council meetings before you decided to run. Can you tell us or give us some insight as to why it's important for civilians and people who are just a part of the community to go to city council meetings? Because not a lot of people go, and I feel like you can give some insight on that.
That's a great question, and I was one of them. The first time that I actually went to a city council meeting was that time I was talking to you about. I never went to city council meetings. Now, I think that it's important for us as city council members to make sure that our council meetings are inviting, because I can tell you, as I was living here, because I didn't see people who looked like me on council, I didn't think that what I was passionate about mattered. And so that's something that we have worked on, like recently. I'm gonna give a shout out to my vice mayor, Sal Romero. When he became, when he got on council, the first thing that he did was to make sure that we haven't had interpreters at our city council meetings, so that people who didn't speak English could come to our city council meetings. That's never been done before. But it's important that people show up, because we need your voice. We need to hear your concerns. We need to hear what's passionate to you and what issues we should be addressing. For students, when I come on campus, I tell students, show up to city council meetings. Just don't show up when it's the noise ordinance time. Show up. You know, one thing that I want to do, if I am reelected, and I've said this, I would love to have a student council, a student city council liaison committee, where we meet quarterly and hear each other's issues. You all are a part of our population. We live together. And so it's important that we have students from JMU, students from EMU come to our city council meetings. But just come and have your voices there. That's how we can change and make the changes that we need for Harrisonburg.
I know that a lot of folks talk about the national politics a lot of the time and what happens in our nation, or even engage with the state a lot more than a lot of times local elections or the local political process and whatnot. So it's dope that y'all are making initiatives to make this happen and whatnot. And I had a comment and I lost it.
That's okay. That's okay.
But I know one thing also, it's starting to come back to me, but other than the having the liaison and the student council, are there other means of getting the students and the wider public more involved in the political process?
Right. Well, another thing that citizens, residents and students should do is look at our boards and commissions that we have. We have a lot of different boards and commissions that people should get involved in, because it starts there, with actually getting your voice at the table. So go onto our city website and see all the different boards and commissions that we have and apply for them. And get involved that way. So I would like to see more of our students involved on our boards. We have a variety of different things that students can get involved with, and I hope that they take the time and do that, because that's an important step toward local government, is the boards and commissions.
Okay, so it's just about doing the do.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think that a lot of college students don't tend to think about the local politics
Mm-hmm.
of their college town. And I know a lot of students who do show up and vote, they do it for like absentee. But I think that a lot of people need to remember like how much a part of their college town they are. So I think all of that is a really great idea.
Yeah, Samantha, let me say this. We want, I know a lot of our college students, once they graduate, they leave. Um, but we want you to stay. We really want our college students to make Harrisonburg their home. And so I think the more the college students get involved on the community level and in their community, it kind of makes it their home. Like they really feel a part of the community and part of the city. They're just not here just for the college experience. And so, like I said, our first African American mayor was Larry Rogers, who is alum of JMU. He stayed here. The same thing with, Chris, who serves on city council with us now. Sal Romero is from JMU. And so we want you to really be a part of the community. And what better way to do that is to get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one thing JMU does really well as a university is encouraging service in the community.
Yes.
I know that like I'm personally in a service fraternity, and I think like that's when I feel most connected is when I'm helping the local organizations, such as On the Road Collaborative. Like you mentioned that you are the program director for. Do you think you could talk a little bit more about like your work with them?
I
know
can.
it's a great organization.
Thank you. Yeah, so a lot of people think that me being mayor is my full-time job, and it's not. It's a part-time job. On the Road Collaborative is my full-time job, and it was an organization that started with a group of us who grew up here in Harrisonburg who wanted to give back to our community. And so we started it about 5 years ago, and so it has really grown over the years to where we are serving in our 2 middle schools and in our high school. And what we focus on is just providing these really cool opportunities for our students who might need assistance or might need a little more support. And so we're able to provide them career enrichments where local professionals come in and they teach a 10-week class about their profession. We support in homework, academic support. We take them on field trips, on college tours, and we just provide mentorships and caring adults to be with these students throughout their journey, wherever that might be. If they decide to go to college or not, whatever they want to do with their life, we're there to support them and their families. And so we can't exist without our volunteers. We have a lot of volunteers that come from both JMU, EMU, and Bridgewater. And we have youth leaders who are part-time workers for us. And so it's just a great organization that I'm very proud to be a part of.
I can definitely also like attest to that because I work. So I don't know how much of this I'm allowed to disclose, but so I might be tiptoeing around certain words. But I had worked at a summer program at JMU last summer, and On the Road helped provide payments for some students to be able to be part of the program.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what On the Road is doing.
Yes.
And it is not like, $20 for the program. We talking about hundreds of dollars.
Right.
On the Road is great. On the Road is phenomenal because I know it's out of my pockets to be even part of that program if I was a student.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's just about being able to give back and being able to give back to your community. So I appreciate that. We work very hard to make sure our students, they don't pay for anything. You know, we're a free organization for them. We don't want their families to have that stress of trying to come out of pocket, you know, and pay for our services. So we work very hard for our students and their families. So thank you for that.
Oh, it's dope work. It is. It is dope work.
Thank you. I think I know what dope work means, but I think that's good.
Oh yeah, dope in the best of context. I promise you, dope in the context.
I'm not that good. I'm not that old, so I think I got it.
That also, in a way, made me think of another question that I had, and it's been something that I've been an advocate for a while, is especially, you know, helping out young folks and whatnot, so that, you know, so the young folks are heard. What young folks do matters and whatnot. And a lot of the people behind the Black Lives Matter movement have been a lot of young people, more than anything. Ooh, excuse me. And also with that specifically, another thing that I've been very adamant about over the past weeks is gradualism, in, you know, in society in general. But question, are you familiar with gradualism at all?
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna Google it so I can have an exact definition.
Okay.
But in the most, actually, I'm gonna let Google explain it rather than me trying to explain it. So gradualism is a policy of gradual reform rather than sudden change or revolution. And, you know, we've seen that over the course of the entire United States history, especially when they treat Black people and any other marginalized group of people. And, you know, rather than saying, oh, you're a person, you deserve this, you know, I'm going to let you handle this since it affects your community directly. Instead, it's sort of like, oh, I'm going to cherry pick what you get and what rights you deserve and whatnot, rather than just saying, here's your tree, here's your cherry tree. So I was just wondering if there was anything specifically in Harrisonburg that's being done to help, you know, reduce gradualism. And also another note is that with more young people being involved in the political process, it definitely helps do away with gradualism. That's why I was also like so ecstatic with the initiative that y'all have for including JMU students. But specifically with gradualism, though, is there anything, you know, any key ideas or anything being done and positioned within your office or offices?
Well, I can speak about let me speak about it this way. I think that the most exciting thing for me was the participation that our youth has shown. And I'm talking about all the way down to even our middle school students here in Harrisonburg, from middle school students up to our collegiate, is when we had all the different rallies and the different protest marches for the murder of George Floyd, especially that second one that we had well over 1,200 people that attended. And when I was there and I looked at the sea of people and I saw the young people there, and I even saw some of my students there that I didn't tell them to come out, but the passion that they had to be there to make a change. I knew that in Harrisonburg, and it's all over, you know, all over different states, but I'm talking about our community. I felt like this is going to be a change, like a force to be reckoned with. And that's what is needed here. because we are considered a college town. And when I say to you that you all are half of our population, you are. It's a dramatic change when you're not here. We need you here, and we need to work together in order for us to make change and move forward. We need you to be a part of that. And doesn't only mean for you to be turning out to protest, but it needs to be in it completely. And so I think that one, I'm not too sure if you know our new police chief. Well, he's been here for about 2 years, but Chief English. He has recently just started a new board where he has young people who are serving on the board, talking to him about police relations and police brutality. You know, when he came to me with that, I was like, that's exactly what we need. We need to create the space. We need to create more boards. We need to create more committees, more task force that our young people, even down to high school students, can be involved in, because we need to have your voice. We can't continue to act like, you know, oh, y'all stay over here, right? And let us lead, and you're not participating in that. So I know that I'm committed to, and I'm pretty confident my city council members who are on city council now agree with me that we need to create more space and more opportunities for our young people to serve and to be heard, because we have to pass the, you know, I can't stay in this position forever. And I think it's my responsibility, and this is me just talking as a person because I was raised this way, that it's my responsibility to make sure that I teach and I bring up the next person, right, to come along with me. I'm not on this platform for myself. God gave me this platform. And so it's up to me to make sure that I pull up and pull along as many people as I can. And it starts with you all, because that's how I was raised. That's how I got to be where I'm at today, because I sat underneath, you know, my grandparents and my aunties, you know, who were activists, right? I sat underneath them and I learned from them, you know, and they taught me how to do this, right? And so that's my responsibility as a leader to do the same for you all. I hope that answered your question.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I really appreciate that, because you brought up something that I didn't even consider and that was I'm going to say it in different words, but you know, if I gotta play, you gotta play.
That's right.
Like if I eat, you eat. So
that's right.
And if we can see more of that, the I eat, you eat, and whatnot, and then, you know, real change happens.
Right, and that's the way it's supposed to be. You know, you're supposed to be able to pull others along, and that's exactly why we started on the road, right? And that's exactly why, you know, I'm sitting on city council, because I truly believe that's part of my core of who I am. That's my responsibility as a human being to do that, and a responsibility as a Black woman.
Many kudos. Yeah, I'm at a loss of words.
Going off of that, I'll go ahead and ask you a question that I'm seeing in the comments from Dr. Miller. So his question is, Mayor Reed, some of what you talked about with the election process makes me think about a quote from Sheryl Sandberg in her book, Lean In. She shares that men are measured on their potential and women are judged on past performance. What's your perspective on this in your own life and career?
Yes, yes. You know, it's unfortunate that as women, we get that, and I kind of saw that my first time. You know, my when I first started running for city council. People were judging me harder than they were the people I was running with, and I felt that, you know. Like I said, I mean, they were trying, you know. I don't know if I said this in one of my speeches, and it's the truth. One of my questions, we were at a forum, and one of my questions was, how much time and money do I have to spend on my wardrobe? And I was like, what does that have to do with me running for city council? Now, the others didn't get that, but I got that. And so it was very clear that I was running at a different standard, so to speak. But I think as women, as long as we are authentic and true to ourselves, and we are confident in our work and what we're about, it easily kind of goes away because people understand who you are. And so for women, for the ladies who I'm speaking to now, what I would say to you is whatever you do in life, whatever you're striving for, you be authentic to who you are, and don't you change yourself for anyone, right? You know who you are and be authentic, and then everything else, people will have to respect you, right? You will require respect, and they will give that to you if you stay true to who you are. And they have to make the adjustment, not you.
I mean, period. That was like everything you said. I was like, period,
Yeah.
exclamation point, period again, another exclamation point. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we have to get more women. I can talk about, being Black, all day long because I am Black. But I'm also a woman, and we have to be at the table as well, because a lot of us, I can't wait till we get to a time where there's 5 people who serve on council, all 5 are women, and it's not even a big deal, right? We need to get to that point, but yeah, we definitely need to have our voices at the table as well.
Yeah, it looks like a question just came in from Katie O'Rourke. She says, does JMU and the city council have town and gown meetings?
Town and gown meetings?
Yeah. Do you want to elaborate more on that,
Well,
Katie? Maybe you want to comment it in the comment section or
yeah,
loud?
like meetings with like the police chief and the fire department, the mayor, and some students, maybe from SGA or something like that. Is there ever a time where the administration of both the city and JMU sit down to talk about town issues, or is that more of just a city council meeting?
Yeah, that's a good question. What we do have is we have a city council JMU liaison committee, and they meet. So that's when 2 members of city council and JMU leadership meet quarterly, and they will discuss issues. Now, I do like the fact, and I think that's where I'm going more with having more of a student focus liaison committee, because I want more of the students' voice. JMU leadership is fine, but I want to hear from the students. And I think that will be a great opportunity where we meet quarterly, and we meet with the police chief, and we meet with the fire chief, and we discuss these major issues. Like in a particular committee, we do not have, but we do have a JMU and a city council liaison committee.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're welcome.
Just going off of that real quick, because I know the whole town and gown analogy, a lot of us who work in higher ed or student affairs at colleges and universities, oftentimes in some college towns, there seems to be this town and gown effect where it's like the university is like this big grand place, and it's like the gown, and it's like the ball, and it's like this wonderland. And then you go out into the town and it's just so different. In terms of population, especially at JMU, we have a lot of students coming in here who are economically privileged, racially privileged, and there seems to sometimes be a disparity between who's native to the area and who's actually coming into the area.
Cierra, that is how I was raised here. You know, have you heard the term townie? That was who we were, right? You know, that's another reason why we started On the Road, because there was a time, and this is how, you know, this is my truth of being raised here in Harrisonburg, was that me living over in what we call the Northeast neighborhood, which is the Black neighborhood of Harrisonburg, I never thought I could go to JMU. I never thought, and JMU is just across town, right? And there was times when we didn't even feel welcome on campus. You know, we were labeled townies. You know, it was like, you might not want to, you know, associate with us or whatever. That was a barrier. But now, you know, there's a difference. But that is there. And so that's why it's still important for us to tell the story, to help tell the history of the city that you live in, which is the good and the bad history here in Harrisonburg and at the university, and that we come together as neighbors, because students live in our neighborhoods, right? And so we have to learn how to live together. And the way to do that is to tell the truth about the history, but also know where we're going. And the only way that we can go forward is with each other. And so I think that's why it's important that we have all voices at the table. And that's why I'm very appreciative that JMU has allowed me to serve on boards at JMU and to have you all come to City Council. But you're exactly right. That does exist till today. Maybe not in Harrisonburg anymore, but in other areas, it definitely exists.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's really important to remember. And kind of going off of that, I know you mentioned before how you wanted to start a student committee. So Katie asked, how hard would it be to start a committee or group that is focused on that, specifically with students and town officials?
Right, not hard at all. That is something that I would definitely have to get a buy-in from my council, which I'm sure that I will. Right before the pandemic, I was working with a group of student leaders because we were working on some affordable housing concerns, and we were in the process of having like neighborhood discussions where we would go to different neighborhoods where students lived in the neighborhoods with Harrisonburg residents, and that we would talk about how we could be better neighbors to each other, because we do have some neighbors who are has concerns when students are in their neighborhoods, but I wanted to break those barriers down. And so we were in the process of having a big event where we would just kind of be together, students and residents, and then the pandemic hit. So that's something that I will continue to do as we open up more, basically get through this pandemic. But yeah, I plan on addressing this with my council members to see if I have support. And if I don't, I'll figure out a different way to do it, but I'm gonna do it.
Not to change the topic, but we have a question, and it reads, Mayor Reed, when you entered the world of politics, how did you overcome those stereotypes that you had mentioned earlier? And were those any different in the political field that you might have faced beforehand?
I think me running for political office shed more light on some of the challenges of running as a Black woman. I mean, of course, I'm old. I'm old, so I've been through, I've been through different positions with work where, I've been, you know, called, ran into racism or whatever. But when you're in the spotlight, it's different, and so it's more elevated. Um, and like I said, like I was saying to Cierra, the best thing for any person who runs for political office is just be yourself, and be authentic. And then people will see you for who you really are. And they either going to, you know, support you or they're not. And you have to be good either way. Um, I believe that I'm doing what I'm called to do. I still have a lot of work that I want to get done here in my hometown. And I believe that I'm making a difference. And so that's one reason why I plan on running for reelection, because I still have more work that I feel like I need to do. I have support, and for those who don't support me, that's fine. But I think that I'm always going to be true to who I am. That's not going to change. So that's the best thing that I can tell, best advice I can say for anyone who wants to be in this arena, because this arena is tough. And so you need to stay true to who you are.
I know a lot of folks, when they see politicians and whatnot, especially like, also I'm going to commend you for staying true to who you are, but also when you have someone who you don't like, it oftentimes people will say, oh, since this person who I like, or excuse me, this person I dislike some of their things, I have to vote for the antithesis of them, rather than seeing where seeing who they can support in whatever fashion they can. And it's brought a lot of divisiveness within our own communities. Hence, you have JMUs and townies. I'm a townie and a JMU student, so I get it. And so,
are you from Harrisonburg?
Not originally, but I've lived here since 6th grade.
Oh, so, I probably know your parents.
Oh, you just might. I'm not going to air their business. I'm just called because they get mad at me.
Did you go to Harrisonburg High School?
I'm a Blue Street.
Oh, I know you. I know your parents.
But like that's why we have divisiveness within our own communities in ways, and it's also why we have divisiveness within the entire country. It's because rather than getting the facts straight, we think of the other person as the antithesis. So just to, again, to backtrack from earlier, everything you're doing to bring the community together is beyond applaudable.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you stayed here and went to JMU instead of going somewhere else.
Actually, I'm just going to be frank. It was not my intention, but I got some good money.
Okay.
So if we're going to be frank about it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we didn't lose you.
I'm glad to be here.
Good.
Just want to make sure if anybody else has any questions before we wrap up. But while we're still on here, I wanted to provide some resources like I always do every meeting, just with different things that we talked about. So the first one that I want to put in the chat is the link to Essence's Woke 100 Women, which Mayor Reed was featured in. So if you want to go check that out, it's really cool. I personally keep a magazine, Essence magazine, on my one of my tables in my living room for decoration. So check that out.
Wow.
Yeah, I keep a nice little. I always keep it on there because I just gotta shout out my girls. And what else do I have? I also Rebecca, during Sabi SK, she touched on Queen Liliuokalani, which was the first queen, or not the last remaining monarch and queen of Hawaii. So I attached some history about her while we're waiting for some more questions, as well as I found a documentary about Hawaii that I feel like is very interesting. So I'll put that in there as well. And then, so this is all mostly referring to Sabi SK that most people might not know about. And here's also some history on the first indigenous college in the United States. Put that in there. I also have some things on the Chicano and Chicana movement. And I know some of y'all have heard of like Dolores Huerta, Cesar Chavez, things of those nature. So that's a lot for them. And also basing off of things we talked about, I'm going to include the link for Virginia voter registration because as we all know, of course, you know, we do have November coming up, but also it's important to, you know, like we said, local elections are just as important as national, because a lot of things are done at the grassroots level and local level. So if you're not registered yet, you know, we're not vote shaming you, you know, it's totally fine. I know I always, oh my God, I used to low key like shame some of my friends who weren't registered to vote. I was like, girl, do you know that people died for your right to vote? But
that's right.
I was like, can we please just talk about this? But that's not always effective for everyone. So I'm saying, I'm not shaming you, but I'm just saying, like, go ahead and register to vote, you know? So, but yeah, so those are the things that I have. But yeah, I don't know.
So y'all do this every Tuesday night?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
This has been wonderful, actually. Thank you. I'm surprised I'm still up this late.
I actually just thought of a question, actually. I know a lot of JMU students advertise, like me, I was BSA president and also in Madison Equality. Those are organizations that do a lot of their promotion and whatnot through social media. And you know, get all their information through social media, the ebbs and flows and whatnot. Is there a way to be connected to Harrisonburg City through social media for a lot of these JMU students? Or I said these as if I'm not one, but JMU students.
Yeah, we have our website, harrisonburgva.gov, that you can go to. We do Facebook, we do Twitter, and we have our website. And then our city council meetings are always listed. We meet the second and the fourth Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. And since we're in the pandemic, we are meeting virtually. So you can go to our Facebook Live, our government Facebook page, and you can see the city council meetings live. And then if you want to do comments, you can call in as well. But yeah, just Google our websites and we're all on there. You Google me and I'm posting all the time. I only do Facebook and I try to do Twitter, but I don't do Instagram and all that stuff. So you know I'm old when you just do Facebook.
I'm young and I really only do Twitter. So.
Yeah, but our information is out there. So
dope. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, if we don't have any more questions, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much, Mary Reed, for joining us.
Thank you.
It was a really great discussion, and I loved everything you had to say. So, again, thank you for taking the time, even though it is getting later.
I appreciate it, and thank you. And to all of you, if you need anything, now this is my little PSA announcement here about the pandemic. We are still in a pandemic, even though we're going through our different phases. But if you need masks, please wear your mask when you go out. Make sure you social distance, make sure you wash your hands. But if you need masks, let me know. I have tons of them, hand sanitizer, whatever you need. Or if you just need, have questions that you want to ask me, you can go to my website or go to my government email or text me, call me, whatever you need. But know that I'm here for you and I'm here to serve. So just call me if you need me.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
For everyone else who's tuning in this week, remember we do this every week. So tune in next time. We'll be at the same place. Thank you all.
Thank you.